Welcome to the 320 Way in Conversation, hosted by founder Karen Case.
Welcome to the 320 Way in Conversation podcast, where we are changing the story of how we age. Today, my guest is Sheelagh, and she's here to talk about some of the challenges she's faced over the last few years. Sheelagh, welcome.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
So we're going to have a chat about some things that you've gone through over the last few years, which may be helpful to the people that are listening or watching. But before we do that, let's have a little bit of background information on you, what your age is, where you're from.
Okay, I'm Sheelagh. I'm 78 years old. I was born in Belfast, met my husband in Belfast. We emigrated to Canada, spent almost 40 years there, and then returned to Northern Ireland in 2006. We had a pretty active life when we were in Canada. We did cross-country skiing, we went to the gym, we did a lot of hiking, swimming, and we continued that when we returned to Belfast. However, 2019, one was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia, and our lives took a turn for the more interesting. It was hard for me to keep doing what I enjoyed doing, which was going to gym classes, because I needed someone to look after Alan, make sure he wasn't hurting himself at the gym. So I hired 3 gym buddies, as I called them, to assist him while he had his workout. This made him happy, and it made me happy because I was able to continue doing my classes, which I loved.
That was obviously part of your life, part
Very
of your
much so.
routine for both
Yes.
of you when you were in Canada and then when you moved back to
Yes,
Belfast.
continued on.
So you were going to the gym, going to your classes, and for a little bit of background, actually, I met you at the gym. You used to come to my classes, and so did Alan. And after his diagnosis, he still used to come to my Pilates class, lie at the back. And I used to say, Alan, are you doing anything? And he'd say, no, I'm just sleeping. But obviously that diagnosis came and that changed your life and you adapted. But then tell us about what happened next.
He died in 2022. So in the past 3 years, I've learned to embrace widowhood and the challenges that brings. I've learned how to do the sort of things that he was doing for our financial well-being. And I've also learned a little bit of DIY. Well, actually, he taught me a little bit of DIY over the years, so I've been practicing that as well. It was always important for both of us to get out and have some physical activity and to meet with friends. Our social aspect as well as the physical aspect, both of which were equally important. So this continued on for me. I handled my widowhood in various ways, and I continued to travel, which we had always done together. I kept doing it.
Fantastic. That you kept on doing the things that you were doing. Let's just stay on the gym thing. So obviously you were now living alone, and you had been together how long with Alan?
We were together for 55 years in total.
55 years, that's a long time to be with one person. And then for that person not to be there, and obviously the run up to when Alan passed away, when he died, obviously there were lots of changes, and he wasn't the same person that he was before, or the person wasn't fully there. So then you have this like new normal. Alan had passed away, and now you're living alone.
Yes.
So how did you adjust to living alone?
I thought the best thing to do would be to continue doing what I'd always done. Get out, go to the gym, meet people, stay in contact, and that single thing alone, apart from everything else that you do, just seeing people, talking to people, being with people, and having some physical activity, so important in older years, because you tend to get a little bit isolated when you get older. And I think that you need to push yourself a bit to keep going when you're left the only person around. And I think you have to do it for your own sanity. Some may say it didn't work very well in my case. I didn't maintain any sanity. But
well, that's questionable, yes, I suppose.
Questionable.
But I think you already had a routine that involved being out and a set routine, because you went to classes, and classes are at set times, so you have to be up and out.
Yes.
It's actually a clever way to ensure that you do have that discipline of leaving the house, because you can put things off and then, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow. But if you book into your class, you've got to be there, you've got to turn up.
And they're usually in the morning. Most fitness classes in most gyms are held in the morning or at night. So what I did was I pretended it was my job. I said, my job
Right,
is to get up
okay,
and go to the
yeah.
gym.
That's very clever.
And that seemed to sort of solidify the routine. I would have probably felt guilty if I hadn't gone out because I always have done it. So important for me.
So a job you didn't get paid for, but you paid for it and the payback was worth it. So gym was obviously always part of your life. You've always been active, but there is something about the social interaction which is really important, especially as we get older and if you've lost a loved one and you're living alone. And there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yeah, yeah. I am alone. And I am lonely for Alan, but I'm not lonely because I have lots of friends and you see them every
Because
day.
you've keeping your life full.
Oh.
And there are so many things out there. There are so many community groups. Your thing is the gym, but for some people that might not be what they want to. There's lots of active walking groups. So there can be all different kinds of classes, some of them physical activity, some of them can be languages or cookery classes or music, just to be with people. I joined what they call those little guitars.
Banjo?
No, not a banjo.
Ukulele?
Ukulele. She joined a ukulele group and they meet in a pub. She also joined a whiskey group, so that was another story. The ukulele and the whiskey at the same time. But just this group of people who you would never normally come in contact with. And then she's just got some great friends through that.
I think that's really important.
The message really is to try to find your tribe, to try to find your people that you connect with and stay in and have an active social life. And you've done that and it's helped you to not be lonely. You are alone, you're living alone and but you are surrounded by people in your world.
Like-minded people.
Like-minded people. So the other thing I wanted to just talk about is something that is a consideration and also a fear as people get older. And maybe you feel you can't do as much as you used to do, or you don't feel as steady on your feet as you used to feel. But the thing that can be a big factor is falling or the fear of falling. And you had quite a significant fall a couple of years ago. Will you tell us about that?
So I went on holiday for Christmas a year ago and had an accident and injured my skull. This resulted in some brain injury and deafness in both ears. One ear is worse than the other, but I've got what are they called? Ear trumpets, my sister calls.
Hearing aids. So it must have been very frightening because you were abroad, you were on your own. I know a little bit of the story that you were heading to your room and the next thing you woke up in hospital.
Yes, and I was there for a week.
And that was a Spanish hospital.
Spanish hospital. Yeah,
so that must have been quite scary.
It was. Luckily, I was asleep most of the time, so I missed most of the scary stuff. But it was afterwards that the scary part of it came in.
You had a brain injury and that takes time to heal.
Yes. And that was very hard for me. I wasn't able to do my normal things, so I rested.
You had to rest. But what was the impact mentally of having that fall? Because you weren't afraid of falls before. We had this conversation. You were never afraid of falling.
Never.
And then you had that fall.
Yep. It never occurred to me before that I would fall. Since then, I became quite terrified going up and down stairs to the extent where my friends would walk around me and walk behind me and in front of me when I was going up and down stairs so that if I fell, I'd fall on them. But anyway, they were trying to help me, which was great. And that did help with the confidence. But I needed to do more than just have somebody holding me up. I needed to be able to walk for myself, go do stairs, do escalators and hills. And I decided to try to overcome the fear by learning how to strengthen my ability to climb both up and down stairs and to generally improve the strength in my feet and ankles, because that's what it's all about. That's your balance. That's where So I did various step ups and step downs in the house, and I tried to strengthen my feet and ankle by doing the kind of exercises that you'll find in the 320 way: toe to heel, heel to toe, moving your ankle, keeping movement in your joints. helps to give you confidence to move around the way you used to.
Mhm.
And eventually, I'm almost back to normal again in terms of the balance.
Yes, and those exercises should just be done every day, and it doesn't have to be a big thing or have to do exercises now. Doing them throughout your day,
Yes,
so that
in
they become
bite-sized pieces.
part of your routine while you're waiting for your kettle to boil, while you put your potatoes on, waiting for them to boil. You can do 3 minutes or 6 minutes of really simple exercise in your kitchen. You don't need to warm up. You don't need to be wearing special clothing. You can just do these simple exercises.
And it's not just the balance issue. I mean, I think we all need to maintain strength in older years, and very, very simple things like carrying your groceries can become a bit of a chore when you get older.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
what I do is I try to do push-ups against the wall or against the work counter in the kitchen to strengthen my upper body. Anything you can do to add a little bit of strength really pays off in the long run.
Yeah, my mantra is any movement is better than no movement. So
Absolutely.
you might think, oh, it's just a little bit, it's maybe not making a difference, but it really does.
It does.
And the more amounts of little movement you do throughout your day builds up to actually something that can be quite life-changing
Yes,
in
yes.
terms of your strength and your balance and your mobility. So, but there's also things that you can be sensible about. So, for example, things can happen that are out of your control. So I was talking to a lady recently who fell, and she was in an Airbnb, and she thinks what happened was she went to the bathroom in the night. There was a rug on the floor and she slipped on it and she
Very
banged her head
common. Hmm.
and she got a concussion. But when I was chatting to her, the biggest impact was her confidence, that she was more nervous being out and about. So obviously I gave her exercises to do because that's what I do. But there are practical things you can do. So making sure there's no trip hazards in your home. So are there some things that you would do in your home?
Well, the trip hazard is very important. In my shower, I have mats that will stop me from slipping on the surface, and I always make sure that I haven't left anything lying around that I might trip over in the room, walking from one room to another at night. You get up to go to the toilet. You say you don't turn the lights on. We have a night
Uh-huh.
light stuck in the wall. Really,
Mm-hmm.
really helps get you there.
And having your towel close by when you're getting out of the shower, not having to
Yeah,
reach for it.
not have to fumble across the room for it and endanger your balance.
So there are things that we can put in place that will help reduce the risk of falling. And then if we can do some simple exercises every day, that's just going to make us stronger, makes our reactions a little bit quicker so that we
Yes.
react quicker if we have a stumble, and also strengthening our ankles, mobility in our ankles and knees and hips so that we have good mobility and flexibility. And all those things don't take a lot. Don't take a lot of work, just a little bit every day. So you're living life to the full,
Yeah.
going on holiday still,
Yes.
going to the gym, meeting your
Yes.
friends.
Yes. Having a
So I
ball.
think you're a great role model, 78. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2 years' time where you're even stronger. You can stand on one leg and do a pirouette because your balance is so good.
Oh, yeah, I see. Looking
So I
forward
mean,
to that.
in terms of your life, Sheelagh, and I mean, I think you're a great role model. Is there any tips you could give to people? Maybe somebody's just recently lost a loved one and they're just struggling, in terms of feeling lonely. Any tips, advice that you think would be helpful?
Everybody's different. You can't prescribe something that will suit
That's right.
everyone, but it's what helped me and still helps me every day. I sit down and talk to my husband, even though he's physically not there. I find it a great comfort just to tell him all the things I did during the day. And I say silly things like, "Oh, do you remember so and so? Oh, yeah, you wouldn't remember them. I know who you would remember, so and so, so and so." And then I feel that he's sitting there thinking, "Yeah," and that makes me feel good. It sounds crazy, but
But
it
it
works
works.
for me.
And the good thing is, he doesn't answer you back.
He's very well behaved.
It's very well behaved. Well, listen, Sheelagh, our time is up. Thank you so much for joining us. You're so inspiring. And what I will say to anybody who's watching, that you'll see Sheelagh on our videos on the 320 Way. She's done a series of strength videos. She's done a series of exercises you can do while you're waiting for your kettle to boil. She's done a yoga sequence for us, a seated yoga sequence. So she's also our model for our marketing. And I'm sure she will be a great inspiration to you. So thank you so much, Sheelagh. Have a lovely day.
Thank
And
you.
we'll talk
Thank you
again
for having
soon.
me. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the 320 Way in Conversation with Karen Case. Like, listen and subscribe for upcoming episodes and join the growing 320 Way community at 320way.com.